Has anyone noticed that marketing is becoming more of a trust problem than a traffic problem? A few years ago, most of our conversations revolved around getting more clicks, more followers, and more website visits. Lately, I'm not sure that's the biggest bottleneck anymore. I've seen brands with strong SEO, decent social reach, and healthy traffic numbers still struggle to convert visitors into customers. At the same time, smaller brands with less visibility seem to build stronger communities and more consistent demand. It makes me wonder if the real challenge now is trust. People research more before buying. They check reviews, they search Reddit, they ask ChatGPT, they compare alternatives. They look for signals that a company understands their problem before they ever fill out a form. We've tested small changes like replacing polished brand messaging with actual customer language from sales calls, simplifying lead capture experiences, and highlighting customer stories more prominently. In some cases, those changes moved conversion metrics more than increasing traffic did. Curious what others are seeing. What has worked for you? I would agree with this sentiment.
Yeah, I mean, it honestly sounds like they're doing all the right things, and that's one of those things where there's no right answer. The one thing that will work for one business may not do, that might not move the needle at all for another business. One thing, if you're talking about like meeting projections and things like that, just depending on like the current economic outlook, maybe you just need to adjust your projections. There just is no magic bullet to hitting that number, and like especially right now, things are a little bit tight. People have less money. Things cost more, so there's going to be an overall just lack of consumer spending, which that trickles into businesses in general. So it's like sometimes you got to adjust your targets to fit those factors. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really hear anything bad in there.
What helps you trust a brand? Say you're looking for what's something that you'd really want to trust.
It's completely flipped on its head from what I would say maybe 5 years ago. If you go to Amazon and like, let's say pre-pandemic, you go to Amazon, you're searching for 5-star reviews because you know that means that if they have an abundance of 5 stars, then it's a good product. You can order it without hesitation, knowing it's going to be good.
That's still what I do. So what changed?
Fast forward, you have people just basically farming these 5-star reviews, constantly breaking their terms of service, basically saying, hey, leave us a 5-star review and we'll give you like a $15 or $20 gift card or whatever.
That's illegal.
That's against their terms of service. You can't incentivize anybody, and this honestly goes for most platforms. You can't incentivize anybody for a positive review. The jury is out on some of them if you can do it just for a review in general. That's not exactly against the rules on a lot of platforms. So it's like you're like, hey, just leave us a review. It doesn't have to be good or bad, just a review, and we'll reward you by doing that. To my knowledge, I still think that's a no-no to Amazon.
Interesting.
And that's why you'll go to buy something from a company. I've honestly done it before. I'm like, yeah, I'll leave them a review. I told them my honest experience with the product. And they send me like a $20 gift card or whatever, and then I promptly delete the review after that. But
nice.
No, I've never done that. But
Based.
I've noticed that I will maybe go to buy like I used to do this quite often with like those those around the neck Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah.
That a lot of people used to wear before they started switching to just the pods. I would need to buy like a new one of those like every year. They'd be like $30, and I would honestly like get like a $25 card just by leaving the review. So I was fine having to buy a new one once a year, essentially for $5 cost. I felt like that was worth it. They would last about a year before one of the ears would go out. But then I got noticing I had to go back and try and buy it, and that brand, that company just wouldn't exist on Amazon. And it'd be the exact same product, exact same everything, except for the branding would be different, which tells me that they kept getting caught. They'd get their account terminated. They would just basically swap the branding and start it up again. So that honestly doesn't really build any trust for me anymore. It's just like you'll see a product, it'll have a billion reviews, and they're all just farmed and they're not legit. And then it goes away after, a year or so, maybe a few months, once the scheme catches up with them. So that doesn't build as much trust with me as it used to. That with the overall just degradation of goods that you can get from there. I honestly, Google still is a pretty good source just because you can't, I mean, if you leave a review on Google, it's tied to typically your actual name.
Yeah.
They're pretty good about weeding out burner accounts and things like that. Those usually get removed pretty quickly. So Google's still got a pretty good handle on it. I trust those reviews quite often. If I'm like searching for a business and see that they have a pretty good rating on Google, I'll go and, I'll check those out. If I see that they have a bunch of bad reviews, sometimes I'll read through them just to see what the story is, and usually they all kind of ring about the same. They're all complaining about the same thing, and that gives me a good picture. So honestly, public reviews are still a good one. Don't ever trust just a straight review on someone's website if it's not like an official Google embed, just because you can make up whatever you want and put it on your website and there's no way to fact check it. But
do you use Reddit ever? Like, what are some good, like, sometimes I go to Buy It for Life. I feel like that's a pretty decent subreddit to check sometimes.
Yeah, and so they released a statistic this last week of where specifically Gemini, but a lot of the other big ones, I think the only one that wasn't mentioned in there was Claude, where they're getting the majority of their sources. And Reddit was by far the biggest feeder of these AI for like reviews and recommendations, which, you know, that's resulted in all these companies going out and be like, oh, we just need to spam Reddit and get on these subreddits. So you'll have companies going to the Buy It for Life subreddit, which used to be an awesome subreddit, and just shilling their products on there, hoping that it'll get dragged into the AI recommendations, and then they'll see an influx of it. So
what the hell do we do?
It's still a common thing. You'll go to Reddit, you'll type in a thing, or you'll go to Google, you'll type in your search, and you'll append it with Reddit at the end of it, hoping you'll get to it. And, you know, it still works. You got to do your due diligence. You got to do your research, and you'll find out really quickly if somebody is shilling something, because the Reddit community is essentially just a bunch of detectives, and they can call people out for the crap really fast. You know, it takes an extra step to make sure it's not just a solicited post. It works, but it's getting there. It's getting saturated. It's anything that feeds the beast will get ruined really fast.
Yeah,